Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. Just give us 2 more minutes to allow people to join. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining. We appreciate the time. We request that you give us 1 more minute to allow more participants to join, and let me move it to our host, Josephine.
Good morning, everyone. So once again, it's a pleasure to have you joining us today on this episode of Conversations with Wandi. We continue to engage on various topics that concern human relations and people power. And once again, your support, your participation, your encouragement has helped us to get to this point and to have yet another interesting conversation. So like we said, we would ask that we start in the next 3 minutes at exactly 9:10. I'm sure there are others that are trying to log in, so kindly just bear with us and then we start exactly at 9:10. Great. I believe we have quorum now. I'm not sure about your end, but my end is a bit chilly, and so I'm going to keep as warm as I can. Now, someone recently said that the job you have or you are looking for plays a pivot role in your career journey. Be very intentional, therefore, when of the jobs you accept, the employers that you choose to work or stay with. All these choices are directly linked to you having a fulfilling career. And when I say someone, that someone is definitely our great host, Wandera Kweyu. Now, today we are delighted because we are going to be discussing and helping you to spot an employer of choice and exploring the ins of employer branding. So, when you're looking for a job, when you're looking for employment, what do you look for? How do you differentiate any other employer and that employer of your dreams? So to dive into that conversation right away without wasting any more time, allow me to introduce our panel, and we'll be joined by Caroline Maina and Noreen Shivachi, and of course our host will be Wandera Kweyu, and I'll leave her to introduce now in detail the panelists, because I think she also has some sort of a bit of a personal relationship with them, and therefore it will be in her best position to give you a detailed introduction of our great panelists today. Karibu sana Wandera, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Josephine. You're making myself and the panelists to be a little bit shy. So welcome everybody to this webinar. We are very excited to see you here. We are very humbled and honored for you to give us your time on such a busy day. If it's chilly, have some tea as we listen. And let me just go dive in and introduce ourselves and our panel. So my name is Wandera Kweyu, but everybody that knows me calls me Wandi. I started to work on different topical issues within the HR area through free monthly webinars. We speak on these issues to just enlighten and enhance the HR narrative. Remember to like us on our socials. That's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. And without further ado, let me jump into employer branding. When I was searching for people to assist me to deliver this webinar to you, I thought about it in a two-pronged manner. When you look at employer branding, you see the concepts that are marketing coming into play, PR, communications in total coming into play. So it was very easy for me to land on Caroline, who tells me that what she likes to do is to make brands beautiful. So if I can give Caroline 1 minute to introduce herself before we go to my next panelist.
Hello. Hello, everybody. I trust you're all keeping well and you're doing okay this fine chilly morning. My name is Caroline Maina, but there are some of you out there who know me as Cleo. Don't worry, both names are mine. I am what they call an integrated marketing and communications professional. What that means is that I am well-versed in all aspects of the marketing and communications field. I come with about 13 years of experience in my field, having worked with almost all major East African brands, and I currently own and run my own communications firm called Caroline Solutions Limited, where we are providing solutions to brands and organizations about how to bounce back from the pandemic, how to rebuild their brands, and how to also reintroduce their products and services to a new and emerging market. So that's me in a nutshell. Does that cover it?
Yes, it does. It actually makes it very interesting for the conversation to follow. And that's even why the next, my panelist next will make this very quickly. When I met Noreen through some light social media stalking, and I was able to see that she's able to do quite a number of things when it comes to the different brands that she's been working in the area of HR. When I asked her about this topic on employer branding, she told me that she's all about disrupting the norm and focusing on talent. So allow me to introduce her. Allow me to ask her to introduce herself in 1 minute before we jump into the conversation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Noreen Shivachi. I am not only a human being, but a mother, and I love people so much that I decided to move away from legal into HR. So my plain and simple basic aspect of looking at people is being more compassionate, being more of considerate of what they want as opposed to what I would like them to have. So I'm a people person. I love people. I want to change people to love people more. So that's me, and I'm loving being here right now.
Wow, that's a very beautiful introduction from my panelists. I guess all of us are excited to just see what it is that we have on offer for you. And as everybody, like I said, my name is Wendy, for those ones who are just joining lately, and I'm a people enthusiast. Just like Noreen, I like to see how people work and how they work with different employers to bring about a common understanding and forge forward performance excellence. So when we're talking employer branding, there is quite a number of people who have not yet grasped the concept because it's actually quite new currently in the market. Employer branding doesn't mean t-shirts and mugs and mouse pads, pens. Yes, it is part of an employer branding themselves, but that is not the wholesome angle of exactly what employer branding is. So how do you tell an employer that has branded themselves, and what type of brand can you associate that employer with for the way they have branded themselves? Do you understand the value of that to your career? Do you understand how to do that as an employer to make sure that you're endearing to the right candidates? And what the candidates out there, what are they thinking about you when they see your name? Do they get excited? Are you retaining people because you're giving them a good preposition? And are you proving return on the investment that you're asking your business to make to brand itself? Yeah. So employer branding is actually quite wide in itself. And we are going to just speak about it in very simple terms, because if you have never joined a conversation with me before, we always try to avoid jargon. We just want to speak on the simplest of things for you to be able to take it home, understand, and see how you can be able to use it, right? So the last time we're using jargon is on our topic, employer branding. When we get into it, it's just going to be really simple. So employer branding in a nutshell is actually what the employer themselves, what the business themselves think it is like to work for them. Then it is also combined with what an employee thinks it is to work for the employer. And it is actually what happens when those two people meet. I don't know if any one of you is familiar with the advertisement that used to run on about the Daily Nation, where there was this young little man who would say, "The dog ate my homework." And the police would be like, "I promise to be to tell the truth." Employer branding is sort of like that, because what happens is that the employer places themselves outside in the market to be something that is endearing to the people that are trying to either join them to work together, or the people who are currently with them so that they can stay with them longer. So employer branding is that sweet spot. You know, it's the three areas that I have put in a cyclic motion: what the employer thinks, what the employees think, and what it is actually like to work for that particular employer. So why employer branding? Why is it that we are coming into this situation and we are talking a lot about employer branding? Currently, after the coming of the internet and the opening of the world through globalization, you notice that there is a raging war for talent. Have you ever sat down and noticed those people who are being headhunted consistently? Those people who, the moment they say I'm open to work, there is 50 companies that are already looking for them. It has also trickled down into different employment. It's not now just with the top layer talent, it's with everybody right now. People have choice. You know, people can see your advertisement and be like, nah, I don't like this company. Let me look for another one. Or somebody can see an advertisement from an organization, let's say like Google, and you're like, oh my gosh, I love the magic that happens in Google, and you just want to apply. So this war for talent has really brought to the forefront as it and pushed the employer to want to position themselves in a manner that will be attractive to the people that are either joining them or the people that are already with them and they want to stay for longer. The second thing that has really pushed employer branding as a concept is the fact that currently talent acquisition, talent management in general is actually influenced a lot by consumer behavior. So you find out there that there is people who have become ambassadors of the different brands. The organizations have actually named themselves a certain kind of thing so that when you join them, you feel part of them. You feel like, you know, you are belonging to them. Therefore, you feel that relationship becomes very personal, that you can go out there and tell somebody, you know what, my employer is fantastic, you might want to join them. So you see, it's sort of like a consumer experience that has been created. And when Caroline speaks with us, she'll be able to just, you know, bring what consumer experience looks like, and you will see how easily it is relating to how your employer brand should be. If you look at in further detail, this is how an employer brands themselves, is how they are, it enables them to state to the employee what value they are going to give them if they join them or if they continue staying with them. Looking at the number of graduates in the market, both in tertiary and also just from the certificate levels, etc., even the people who have just finished Form 4, there is quite a lot of talent that is out there that is looking for the different opportunities. And there is this need that an employer has to retain the people that they already have so that they don't lose the knowledge that they have internally in the organization. They also have this need to just attract the top tier talent that they think will fit within the organizational culture. Employer branding gives an employer that unique ability to be able to create and communicate their employee value proposition, where they can be able to tell somebody, if you join us, this is what you can be able to do for you. They can be able to tell their staff, now that you have joined us, this is what you will benefit by being with us. They can tell their long-term employees, because you have been with us for this long, this is how we will continue to enrich your career journey. Also, an employer brand creates, it gives an employer that very unique opportunity to create a candidate persona of the people that they need inside their organization. You know, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the magic works when it comes to cultural fit. When you've been able to create something, a persona that is so specific to your brand, that the people who are joining it, the moment they can relate with it, you will know that there'll be a fit. If they're inside the organization and they can be able to communicate with that persona, you know that person will be a fit. If you work in sectors like maybe the media or any other FMCG, you will notice that what happens during these preparations for selling different kinds of products, people are able to create a persona of the person that is going to consume their product, so that you're able to say, this lotion is meant for this lady who looks like this, goes to this place, does that. Then even when you're targeting your advertising space, you're going to those places where you will find this lady that you're looking for. Employer branding gives an equal statement for a person who is looking for an employee. In that sense, it will also repel the kind of people that you do not want to join your organization because they will not be a fit, right? So when we've spoken about this employer branding and said why employer branding should be there, I'm going to ask Josephine to just share with us a quick poll before I introduce Noreen to speak in detail over the next slide. Josephine, you can launch the poll. So the poll is currently launched. We are asking you, do you research a company before you respond to their job advertisement? So the answers are coming in quite fast and furious. So do you research it? I'm liking how these answers are coming through. We have already a 60% vote. Let's continue. Do you research a company before responding to their job advertisement? I'm very encouraged to see the votes as they are coming in. I'm not sure we are being entirely honest, but I'm liking the fact that at least we recognize. It means that the first statements that we have made have clicked somewhere. You're saying to yourself, I probably should, which is great, which is quite great. I'm loving the votes that have come in. We have already voted at 82%. Let's just let it hit 85 and then Josephine, you can stop the poll. All right, then Josephine, you can end the poll. Great, so our poll results, I'm sure all of us can be able to see. Are you able to see the results? Great, so you say that at 79%, you always research a company before you respond to their job advertisement, which is quite great. And 21% say sometimes. There is actually no one that says never. I'm very intrigued by that, which is such an interesting thing, which would make even the next slide where Noreen will be telling us what to look for when you're researching. You know, when you research something and you're just researching without a particular goal, you might find yourself finding answers that you are not even looking for. Or sometimes you can find that your research is not productive in any sense of and form of the word. So Noreen, please tell us what type of employers are existing out there currently?
Okay, just before we get into that, you know, one of the key things that I've noted is people are telling the truth that they do research. However, what kind of research do they do? Do you know that company? Is it a good one? That really, and we need to understand research is going and finding out more about that company. What kind of culture, what do they do? How do they treat their employees? What kind of benefits do they have? How do they have work and life balance and things like that? So research maybe is a little bit relative to us, considering the thinking. I asked my partner, they said,
Noreen, your internet is falling back a little bit. Noreen, your internet is falling back a little bit. Cleo, I'll ask you to just mute your video so that we can get clearer, Noreen. Noreen, come again.
Yeah. Are you able to? I was saying that it's easier to state that we do research. However, most of the time, what we do is just ask a couple of questions. And then we think that a friend saying that is a cool place is enough to get us going. However, really, mostly it is not enough. We need to know more about that employer. And yes, our research might be a little wanting. After this, I think most
Noreen,
understand what it really means and what we really need to look for in terms of employer branding before we get
Noreen, you've dropped off again. Apologies for the drop in the internet. Noreen, maybe you can drop your video so that you can be able to hear you clearly.
Sorry about that. The lights just went off and then they went back on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, Kenya electricity is really interesting. I was saying that we need to have a clear understanding of what research is, because if you're asking your friend if they like that company, then that's not enough research. We need to ask more questions. And that's one of the key things for us to be able to understand in this slide about spotting different employer brands. What kind of things are we looking for in the next employer, in the person you want to work for the next few years, few months? I don't know how long we want to consider that. Number one is they're employers of cash. And employers of cash is whereby the employee is considering, I want this amount of money. The employer is considering, I'm about to pay about this amount of money. And when they come together, it's everything and nothing else but money. So how much I pay you, you are going to work possibly like a donkey, or possibly like extra hard, or the little money I pay you, you're going to still work extra hard. So money is the only thing in their minds. So if I want 100,000 and yet I was being offered 10,000, then I'm not coming in. However, I might come in for 100,000 and then that place is not what I really expected it to be. So if my consideration is money, then it's going to be a problem later on, because at the end of the day, money is not everything. On the other hand, there are some employers who are all about values, and that's like integrity, honesty, and ethics. However, an employer might want these things from us, but not give it to the employee themselves. So we need to be very, very careful. What kind of values are in that company? And not only are the values there, but in terms of what kind of values do they really actually not just say, but actually do. So if they are demanding integrity and honesty from me, then they should be able to be integral and honest with me as well. So most of the employers out there think that this is a one-way street, and yet employer branding is not a one-way street. It is a two-way street. I want to understand what the value proposition they're giving to me and what I can give to them, and then we can work together. It's not really a one-way street. In terms of employer of churn, is all about everybody is being replaced every single time. No one is replaceable. There's one thing we used to say, if there's a pen that actually got you into the company and signed your contract, the same pen can still sign your termination letter. So definitely you'll be in today, and if you work like a donkey, no sleep, no work-life balance, it doesn't matter. If tomorrow you're being terminated, you will be terminated. So there are those employers who really do not care. They just want to see someone there and see their work done, as opposed to how are they doing that work? Are they comfortable? Are they putting out quality work, or they're just looking at the quantity of the work? Do they care if I'm sick or not sick, if I'm having work-life balance, if I'm depressed for that matter, because I've been spending too much time at the office and doing the things of the employer? There are employers who do not really care about that. All they want to see is their numbers shoot up, their bottom line better, and nothing about the employee. So you might get in and thinking you're going to get 100K, and that's a good thing, or 300 or even 500K. But at the end of the day, you're still replaceable. And 3 months down the line, they think you're not working well and they actually kick you out. So you might be the employee today and then not at all tomorrow. You might get in with all that good thing and thinking that there's good integrity, there's good honesty, there's a place whereby they value ethics and value ABCD, but then you find that it doesn't come from them, it just comes from you strictly. So you get into a problem. So your employer of choice should be a place whereby it's actually a great place to work at. There are important things that you need to see from that employer. Is there loyalty? How do they attract new prospects? How do they motivate their staff? How do they boost their bottom line? Do they have great ambassadors? Do they have people who speak good things about them? In terms of the elements that are in that employer's in the employer's place, is the salary and compensation good enough? You know, it doesn't have to be high salaries and high compensation, and then later on you find the culture is so terrible. You find that the managers are shouting at people, or you don't get any off time. You find that the reputation out there for that company is really bad, so it messes up your career path completely. Like, you're in there and someone's like, I would never hire a salesperson from company X, compared to you working somewhere else where it would have been awesome, regardless of how much pay you were getting. How is the candidate experience? How do people enjoy working there or have interviewed before there? And how is their leadership? What kind of people are leading that company? Are you finding people who are more of managers and bosses as opposed to leaders who actually roll up their sleeves and do stuff? And you need to find out how long employees have stayed there. If an employee is the turnover rate is the labor turnover rate is so high, then you need to be really, really careful. You're going to go in there and you will not last. You've left a job whereby you were getting pension, you were getting your 100K, and you've moved to 300,000, and you spend 2 months and then you're jobless. That is a big problem. And if you've not done your research, you're going to get stuck, and then you're going to be in trouble later on. It needs to have a healthy culture. It needs to care about the employees. I'm not talking about whereby you're going to be coming in and everybody's pampering you and making you feel all good and every single time. No, I'm talking about I'm feeling sick and someone is there concerned. I can tell my manager that my child is just fallen sick and I need to leave, and they're like, go, we'll cover for you and we'll be able to make sure the meeting goes on. Not that you can go after the meeting and you're really looking so stressed and everything like that. Those are the kinds of things we need to look at. So when we answered, yes, we do research, I don't think we really looked at all those things about a company. I asked my buddy another time, do you know why you're going to that company? Do you think it's a good place? And they're like, well, I don't have a job right now, so I'm just going to go. And when they got there, they spent a month and a half and they were pulling their hair out, and they decided, you know what, I'm better off at home. And they actually stayed home until they got something that was good enough. And I actually tried to help them out get something that was good enough for them. It didn't matter about the money. It mattered mostly about how he was treated during the interview, how he felt the leadership was treating him, how the open door policy was actually not a revolving door, but an open door policy. You know, you can get into someone's office and get out as fast as possible. So that door is open, but hey, they'll kick you out as fast as well. So those are the kinds of things we need to look at. Don't just go in there and say, you know what, life is hard, life is tough, let me get a job. Life is going to be tougher when you're in that job. You can't see your family, you can't deal with your kids, you can't even pay your rent properly because they're not paying you well enough. They're not paying you on time, because they could pay you well enough, but they could pay you at the middle of the month. There's no honesty, and you keep doing wrong things that make your morals just go down. And guys are leaving and you're scared. There's no job security. Today you're in there, you're thinking you're being introduced to the manager tells you, okay, I'm resigning at the end of this month anyway, but it's good for you to come. Boss, you are going to be in trouble. So you need to look at this from a different perspective. Wendy, back to you.
All righty, Noreen, I like the fire with which you've brought this through, and it makes our next slide even more interesting. But before that, let me ask Josephine to just roll out one more poll for us. Looking at what Noreen has just said, how do you place your employer? Who is your employer? Are they an employer of cash? Are they an employer of value? Are they an employer of churn, or an employer of choice? When you go to work, do you feel like because they pay you, they want you to sort of do everything in the world? Is it the employer that you came in today and then tomorrow they fired you? Are you with that employer who actually values integrity, who is honorable, they stick to their words? Are you having that employer who actually sees the human in that employee? They see you as a human being and they treat you as a human being and want to blend your being human to the organization and how it functions. So which kind of employer do you have? I'm seeing good votes coming in. I know some of us are thinking and wondering, where do I stand? You can have different ways to show you which kind of employer you have. employer of Chan, you can just sit there and wonder how many times have you seen new faces coming in and going? If the answer is very many, your employer is of Chan. If you have seen those employers that hire people at very high and exorbitant rates, they get you from a job that you are getting maybe 100K, then they are giving you 500, 600. But then you forgot what a weekend is. You're like, that's a strange animal. Your employer is of cash. If you're getting that employer who is not necessarily paying you the most, but they're taking time to listen to you, to be honest and have integrity in the things that they're saying, you might be having an employer of value. And if you're that lucky human that is in an employment where you're considered, your human being and their needs that you have as a person are considered and valued, where when you say, I have a problem, people stop and they listen. When you disagree with a manager, you are not automatically given a bruiser on your back for the next firing. When you're sitting and disagreeing with how your performance is being evaluated, they can sit back and say, okay, which point are we missing? You are very lucky to have an employer of choice. So yeah, vote. We are going to do a few more seconds before we end the vote. Is yours an employer of cash? Is yours an employer of value? Is yours an employer of Chan, or yours an employer of choice? And if these are the things that are happening around you, when you are searching, doing research for the employers that you want to potentially join, are you researching them in these areas? Because this is what is going to affect your career very, very significantly. So yes, Josephine, you can end the poll. You can end the poll for the interest of time. As you can see, employers of we have a very interesting results here. Wow, very, very interesting. My HR professionals here defending your brand, because I'm seeing that employer of choice takes the lead, followed by employers of value. Then we have employers of cash at the same spot with employers of Chan. I really hope this is actually the case, because it's very encouraging to see that you're working for employers who actually value you, employers that are giving you opportunity to choose and be the people that you want to be in your own career journey. If that's not the case, I want to say all my HR colleagues that are here, yes, we see you and we thank you for the aspiration. And I sincerely do hope that it's actually not an aspiration. It is that we are taking time to create magic for our employees. We are making people want to come to work, When you're feeling in the morning, it's Monday and you don't want to jump off a bridge, that's a really encouraging thing, When it's in the middle of the work week and you don't even recognize it, but then you know that the moment it's 5 o'clock, it's family time and you can be given without you feeling guilty. When you know that you can go and apply for leave and nobody will ask you, why are you applying for leave? That question is quite unprofessional. If it is leave, it is leave. If I've given it in good time, I've given it in good time. When you create a person that is like this, a person that is happy, they will be a fan of your brand. They will turn out to be your brand ambassador. So even when I'm speaking with Cleo right now, I just want her to talk to us about customer experience so that you can be able to appreciate how a customer behaves when it comes to a brand or a product that they can relate to well, or a service that they have been receiving. And then we will go into detail on how that is very similar to employer branding process. Cleo, over to you.
Hello, hello everybody. We're making good progress. So I think one of the greatest mistakes that employers make is the assumption that they're not in partnership with their employees. That is wrong. You see, the employees are coming to you because they need money, but you are going to them because you need their services. So at the end of the day, it's a partnership, and that partnership should be mutually beneficial. So when I think of for me personally, when I think of branding, I think of perception. Yeah. What do people perceive Safaricom or Airtel or Google to be? That is what branding is. So the mistake that we make is looking at employees like, oh, they're just here to help me get my money, or to grow my company. No, if you do not take care of your employees, they in turn will not take care of your products, of your services. They will misuse or underutilize company resources, and they will show up to work to look for another job. So can you imagine, there are certain, like what Noreen was talking about earlier, about some people maybe who don't do due diligence because, they're desperate, they're looking for work, and then they come in. So you can imagine in your organization, if you have a group of employees who are just sitting at your office, utilizing your company resources to look for other jobs on company time. That's why all employers should look at employees as customers first, as their first customers. What's their customer experience? Are they aware of your product? Yeah. Do they understand what your mission, your vision, your goal is? Because at the end of the day, your first ambassadors are your employees. They're the ones who are going to tell people out there, look, I work for this organization. They have this great product or service. So what are you doing to ensure that they are familiar with all that? What is their experience like when they come to work? Yeah. Are they well taken care of? Like Noreen was talking about. Have you accorded them the services that they need to perform at an optimum level? Or is one of your employees working daily on a broken laptop, which is slowing down their productivity? And at the end of the day, you as the boss, you expect productivity from your employees. Again, what's the engagement to the employees? Are they able to walk into your office and tell you, look, this isn't working. This is the problem this client is having. There's an issue at this organization. Or do you run a closed entity such that they feel they cannot even reach their line managers? So this is what I'm talking about when I say about treating the employees as a customer first. You must be able to take care of them. Also, you need to put into consideration, what are your employees' goals and missions in life, and try and align them with your company's goals. If, let's say, Cleo's goal in life is to be the head of marketing for one of the largest brands in East Africa, and you as a CEO, your goal is to have a company that's the largest brand in Africa. Why not align those two goals such that the employee doesn't feel sidelined and they are even more motivated to be more productive, to be more engaging, to offer solutions, to offer ideas? And that way, both of you guys can grow together at the same time. Again, how do you build loyalty? These are some of the things you need to consider. How do you build loyalty amongst your employees? And by loyalty, an employee will only give you loyalty if they feel that they're well taken care of. Like, I will not owe you anything if I come to work and you don't treat me in a manner that's acceptable. Yeah, I will only come, play my part, and the first instance that I get, I'm out the door. So you don't want that, because Noreen earlier talked about a high turnover rate. Yeah. So you don't want to work with employees who are always making steps in and out of the organization. Every other time you're introducing your clients to a new account manager, after 3 months, another new account manager. Yeah. So it breaks down your company's processes. And that is why, as employers, we need to start with our employees. What are their goals? What are their missions? What inspires them? What drives their passion? Yeah. Where do they want to be in 5 years? How do I make this happen? What are the resources that you need to get there, so that we can all be aligned in the same mission and vision and goals of the organization? Again, what are some of the needs of these employees as individuals? Are there some people who have sick parents who can only work certain hours? I've also worked in an agency where there were some creatives who were productive in the morning, and there's some creatives who are productive in the afternoon. So how do you make it work? Because you don't want, again, to have an employee who comes and sits in your office, taking your coffee, using your internet, using your paper, up until 2 o'clock, just waiting for their mojo to kick in. So how do you optimize your employees to ensure that they're their most productive level? And that's why I feel, again, just going back, that's why I feel like at the end of the day, as employers, our first customer is our employee. If you take care of your employee, they will take care of your business. Over to you, Wandera.
Yes, the passion that you have introduced into this particular conversation at this point. Are you taking care of your employees so that they can take care of you? I like this particular statement. It's quite corny, but it's also a statement that makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure who said it to me, but somebody once said, I am pretending to work as my employer is pretending to pay me. You know, you're in that situation where nobody is doing anything really. There's no value coming from anyone, but then you see that a day passes, some papers here and there have been processed, and that would be it. So how do you decidedly go ahead and give something to your employees so that they can feel compelled to want to give something right back at you? So as an employer, you need to be quite aware that the days when it was all about paying salary is over. Now we are in that stage where we need to be able to give more. There is more to life than salary. There is so many other things that are existing in the market that put competition rate to be very, very high. So how do you go through the process of employer branding? Just like Cleo has said, and to just recap it all, a customer is that person that comes to you with a certain need. They are aware that you can respond to that need that they have. You have gone out of their way to create, to deliver that need for them in a way that they get happy and satisfied around that particular need because of their happiness and the experience that they had in that particular situation with either your goods or your services. They started to advocate for you to other people. And you know, you took time to further engage them. You know, when I sell you something and I give you the questionnaire of, did you like, how can we improve? From that engagement, I actually took in that feedback and understood it very well and actually improved here and there. And this customer will start feeling, oh my gosh, I have been listened to. My needs have been well catered for. So I am going to be a raving fan. I am going to walk outside there and tell people, yeah, buy this particular product, buy this particular lotion, you know? So how do you get to have raving fans of your brand as an employer so they can give you everything that they got, you know, so that when they come to work, they are present and they are working. How do you go about that? Thing number one, audit your current brand. Employers right now, there's a bit of lax, especially when COVID hit. There is something that has happened in the market that has sort of shifted into a direction that I'm not very sure is the best. When there was pay cuts that was quite prevalent, quite a number of employers introduced the pay cuts, and then they started hiring people at the level of the pay cuts. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're here as an employer and that's what you've done, please know that time is going to catch up with you, because there is this very smart employers who actually take the time to rebrand, to be able to look at the market and approach it in a different way. Your people are going to be poached. Your people are going to not want to stay with you. You might need to audit that brand. When you're auditing the brand that you have as an employer, you need to be able to create your employee persona. Who is the person that you want to work for you? Are you looking for that person who is well-spoken, that person who has good skills in managing conflict? Are you looking for that person who has a big heart? Are you looking for that person who has the highest of qualifications? How do you determine the competencies that you're looking for? So if you say, for instance, I want a person who's a good communicator, what does that mean in your organization? Is it that a person can be able to pass a message that people can understand? Or is it that they can be able to deliver complex information in a simple way that people can be able to appreciate? Define that so that you have a persona of the person that you want to hire, and communicate that. Once you have that persona of that person that you want to hire, Go in and establish what your unique selling point is. What are you selling to this person? If you're looking for that, your persona for the employee that you're looking for, say you're looking for somebody who is between the ages of say 25 to 32, a person who can be able to work flexible hours, a person who can be able to deliver creativity at this level, and a person who is not very fazed by all the technology that has come out. So that's, for instance, a persona that you're looking to hire. What unique selling proposition are you giving them? What value are you going to give to them? You say to them, you see, as the employer, let's say I am Wandi Inc. I am going to give you the best technology to work with. I am going to revolutionize your brand as an employee because of my brand value. I am going to, you see, you're speaking to the unique values as to why somebody should look at you. And when they're looking at you and you tell them, this is the proposition that I'm giving you, Wandi, as an individual. Because I appreciate that you are in the middle of studying, because this is what Wandi Inc. is an organization that is forward thinking when it comes to study. We shall give you education leave. We shall give you flexi hours so that you're able to go to class. Because we know Wandi loves herself as a person, we will celebrate your milestones. So on the day of your anniversary, we'll send you a message and be like, happy wedding anniversary, or happy birthday, or happy first day you did the fact you broke ground for building your house. You know, like I say, your journey, your personal journey as an employee shall be our personal journey as an employer. Once you have done that, you need to be able to define the goals of the branding that you're taking. Why are you branding? Who do you want to talk to? And what are you measuring when you are branding, okay? So once you have your goals out clear, and let's say, for instance, you want to be able to transform the number of people that apply to the number of people that get to interview from, let's say, if it was 5% to 35%, you know, that's a very targeted value that you're looking, a goal that you're aiming to achieve. Once you have those goals, it will become clear to you which employer branding tools and tactics that you would want to employ to make sure that your goals are achieved. Are you going to use your career sites? Are you going to actually go on media, social media, free media? What are you going to use? Are you going to use word of mouth so that you make sure the people that left your organization are your biggest brand ambassadors? What tools and tactics will be able to help you as an employer to reach the goals that you have come with? Once you look at that, you need to be sure to assign the right resources in it. Ladies and gentlemen, here is where I want to talk to you about stakeholder management. Please remember that without the proper people backing your employer branding process, you're going to get very frustrated by the uptake and the delivery of the same. So make sure that your executive team is on board and understanding of what it is that you're doing. Make sure that your marketing team can help you, your IT team can help you, you know, your HR team is in the mix and they can be able to help you. You don't want to get to that situation where you want something put up on the intranet and the IT people are wondering, what are you talking about? So bring in the stakeholders that are required to be there, because those are the people that are going to resource your project and they are going to make sure that your project has been championed within the organization. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not just say things without valuable data. I know in human resource, we don't value data that much, yeah? But there is so many things that we need to be able to put out there to measure and see actual demonstrable impact. You know very well, especially the people who are working on executive levels on this call, when you go to your CEO and your CFO and you're talking to them about value, they don't really want you to say the career landing page looks very awesome. They would respond cents and dollars, so that you have those things, that your ducks in a row, and how you're changing them becomes so easy for them to understand that they can visualize the success that you're coming in with. Let me give you a good example. So let's say we want to change our cost per hire. Why are we measuring cost per hire? Because the cost per hire is the thing that is going to determine how much we are putting aside as recruitment budget. So if you say currently our cost per hire is, let's say, 50,000 shillings. For every hire we have spent 50,000 shillings. So it goes into us, the recruitment budget would be equivalent to the 50,000 times the number of positions that you want to offer in that particular year. So if you can tell the CFO, if we spend
Hello, Wendy. I think we have lost you. Kindly check your connection. All right. I think she is trying to reconnect. Perhaps Noreen, you can, say something as we wait for her. In terms of what she was addressing, and that is the employer branding process.
So basically, yes, it's true that most of the time we don't look at it from numbers perspective. There's one of my former employers who said that by the end of this turnover year, you will know numbers and you will understand numbers. And that's one of the key things that I got from that period of my employment there. HR, mostly guys don't think that numbers exist, numbers make sense. And if you don't speak to the board, you don't speak to the management in numbers, then we don't get what we need to get. We get lost in between. So when we're looking at the process very clearly, we need to go back and speak in terms of numbers. At the end of the day, what's the ROI? How am I going to be better off if I do this? How is the employer going to benefit? Because needless to say, employers consider employers. They really don't consider employees as much. And if they consider employees, then they consider employees as helpful to the employer. So everybody is me, myself, and I first, and then everybody else comes in later. So when we're going to speak to them about the different things you want to change so that it can make everything better, then you need to speak in their language. You go to a baby, you got to go down and talk to them at their level. When you're going to the board, you got to go up and talk to them in numbers level. So those are the kinds of things that we need to do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Noreen, for picking up for me, and apologies for dropping off. Now that we have spoken about the data that we are benchmarking, of course, the next one for assessing impact becomes very easy because you have a track on where you're going and you can easily measure your ROI. Ladies and gentlemen, please note that in the takeaway pack that we shall be giving to you, we shall have a very detailed explanation on these employer branding purposes for your continuous checking. And if you have any questions, just type them on our chat as we keep on speaking about employer branding. So now that we've spoken about the process from a top line angle, we just want to come and speak about the tools that are currently used for branding. And who best to talk to us about tools than the people who actually brand everything. So Caroline, take it up and tell us about these tools that we can use.
Hello? Can everybody hear me? Hello?
We can hear you, Karen.
Oh, okay. So there are a number of tools that you can use when in employer branding. For instance, how easy is it to maneuver your career site and your landing page? Because that is essentially the welcoming, what is it called? The welcoming committee of your brand. When an employee is looking for work, what's the first thing that they see? So you have to remember to ensure that your career site and your landing page is easy to use, it's interactive, it's easily accessible, and it's bug-free, because then looking at the kind of talent that you're looking to attract, maybe if you want the best talent, then they are also out there sourcing for the best employers. And if you can't get something as simple as a career site and a landing page right, then that speaks to your brand. Again, and then next thing is, what kind of content are you churning out? Yeah, because you have to remember that everything about branding is perception. So what kind of content are you churning out? How do you get the word out that you're looking for talent? And when you do get the word out, how is the feedback received? And how do you again reissue this feedback? Is it in a timely manner? Is it clear? Is it concise? What communications tool are you using? This will help you stand out as an employer of choice. Because think about it this way: how many employees go for interviews, a long interview process, and they think they've made it, they are in the final 2 rounds, and then poof, they never get any feedback. So what kind of communication are you also putting out there? And this stems to your content creation as well, because people should be able to know, if I am coming to Caroline's company, they should be able to understand, or know that I will get feedback in 24 hours, like they said, okay? Otherwise, then that's how you start ruining your brand's reputation. That's when you hear things like, oh, those guys don't even give you feedback. The interview process is all about data mining. They just want our information. And it can be very frustrating as an employee, especially as someone who's been on both sides of the divide, where you are looking and hopeful and waiting for work, and you think, yes, I got this one, and then they go silent on you. So you have to also factor in your content creation that is geared towards the select employees that you're doing. And then what are your talent pipelines? Yeah. Do you have a great talent pipeline? Again, this stems back to communication, because once you get your communication right, everything else falls into place. And the good thing with getting communication right is that you get brand ambassadors who do all the work for you, which saves on costings. If I treat candidates properly from the minute they call in, to find out about the interview, to the minute they walk in, to how they're received even at the gate. When they come into the gate, they want to find out, okay, where do I go? Am I going to 4th floor, to 5th floor? How is the receptionist? Was I given tea? If the reception is great, whether that employee gets a role in your organization or not, there will be a brand ambassador out there. They'll go and say, you know what, I didn't get the role at CSL, but the way those guys took care of me, I would recommend anyone else to try it. Then going back to your social media, because everything right now, whether you like it or not, is in the digital media space. How are you interacting? I always look at how companies respond to not only clients, but also potential buyers. Yeah. Do you respond to them in a timely fashion? Are you apologetic? Do you acknowledge when things go wrong? Because there's so many instances of brands who mess up, let's say like a bank, there's money missing from your account. And instead of you coming out and saying, you know what, we are sorry, we lost your money, we're looking into it, this will be corrected in 24 hours or in 48 hours. And this is on social media. And you have to remember, the thing with social media is that it's visible to a wide clientele, both existing and potential. They're looking at, if this brand is taking care of their customers like this, will they take care of me as well? So you also have to think in terms of social media as a branding tool, in terms of how am I driving my brand's perception? And this can be in terms of even like employees as well who work for you. Maybe an employee was in an accident. How did you respond? Did you issue a statement? Did you explain? Was that employee taken care of? Always remember that your brand is visible everywhere, either directly or indirectly. And again, the analytics. Out of all these things that you're doing, what's the feedback? What are you doing wrong? I don't know why people are so afraid of negative feedback. In fact, I prefer negative feedback to positive because I'm able to learn what am I doing wrong. You're able to learn what you're doing wrong from negative feedback. If people are always telling you you're great, you're great, you're great, you're never going to improve. You're never going to make changes. You're never going to make adjustments to your organization. So brands need to stop looking at negative feedback as something that's bad for you. It's something that's actually not that bad. It helps you to grow. It helps you to understand. It helps you to create better products that are better suited to your clientele. So these are some of the things that employers need to look at and make it easier for your employees, both potential and existing, to utilize them. Can you imagine if me as an employee, even I don't understand what you're talking about on your career site? How then am I able to communicate what the product or the service that we're selling is? So you have to first ensure that the career site is working, the landing pages are working, to avoid things like a bounce rate, okay? You don't want people just bouncing from one page to another, never really taking time to figure out what the company is, or just simply getting bored and said, this does not help me. Well, at the end of the day, maybe your products and your services are great. So these are some of the branding tools that I think we should put into consideration when hunting for employees out there. Over to you, Wanda.
All righty. I like that negative feedback is actually good. The moment you've been talking about you're great, you're great, you're great. I've just been thinking about Alexander the Great. I don't know why my head went there. Just went there. So yes, so now we are in this spot where we are saying, okay, so we have the tools in place. We have understood the process. So what kind of tactics are you going to pick up to have an effective employer brand? Noreen, do you mind talking to us through about that?
So basically what you need to do is ensure that you have good public relations, and your public is your client is the talent out there. You need to figure out what you're going to say about yourself so that they can love you enough to just think about you and send in the application. You have to be very, very well communicative with them. You got to be nice. Was one thing that we need to understand. Once you're in HR, you are not the boss and you're not God. You have to humble yourself and get the right people for the job. If you can't get the right people for the job, then you're not doing the right job. And then you get fired. So you want to keep your job, you got to be humble and get that talent looking for you. So PR is quite important. Turn that story into something that they want to hear, they want to be part of, they want to do more about that. So make sure that that is something that is really, really important to you. You have to be credible, you have to show empathy towards them and build something that is so, it touches them. You know, I want to be there. These guys are doing something awesome. These guys they're making magic and I want to make magic with them. And then the other thing is the search engine options. You need to optimization. You need to be very clear that you are on top. One of the key things that one of my bosses said to me, I want to be the boss of LinkedIn. Like I want guys to go to LinkedIn and say, hey, let's just check out what they're doing. And let's check out that page, you know, that kind of thing, so that they're always on top of something. You want to be number one in terms of Google searches, and you are relevant in A, B, or C, what is happening now, so that guys can look at you and say, if I worked at this place, I would be getting A, B, C, D. If they did something different, I would be part of that something different. They're making waves, they're disrupting the norm, and that's the kind of thing I want to be part of. It's very, very valuable, but it also needs someone who is specifically geared towards working that one out. You know, sometimes we want to save money and then we do things halfway through and then it just looks like crap. Don't do that. Don't do that. You won't get the talent. They'll notice, they'll see you doing your BS and they're like, yeah, right, you guys don't even have that. So don't do that. Get the right candidate to do that for you. We cannot do everything. Don't let your CEO tell you, your HR, figure it out. No, just tell him, we need this person to do this so that I can do my job better and I can get you the best talent who will stay, who will give you the return on investment, who will make everything absolutely Awesome. So you need also to ensure that what you are showing off to your people out there, to the people in there, can speak out. Your brand ambassadors are the employees who are right there with you. They are those who have interviewed with you. There are those who have gone by and been a client to you. They need to speak good things about you. You don't want to go to a place where they say, oh my God, you're going to that sales department. Again, don't ever bother. Don't even think about that company. That is not a place you want to be at. Look at that as an HR. Let it be a place where guys are like, I want to come. You know, there's a time I actually advertised for a position and I got zero applications, only to find that years ago, before I joined the company, they had put out an advert and then did nothing, and then an advert and did nothing, and then an advert did nothing. So guys had blacklisted them for that specific position. So, and I told the CEO, I'm sorry, this one, let's just do it on our own. Let's just get someone from within and train them and do whatever. And he's like, no, keep pushing. We pushed for 3 weeks with 0 applications, for Pete's sake. We got interns applying, and it's a managerial position. So if people don't speak good things about you, you're going to be in a big problem. And your job as a talent acquisition manager, as HR, as head of talent, you need to get talent. If you can't get talent, then you can't do your job. And most of the time, sometimes it's not even our fault, you know. The company culture is what we are best known for. How is someone going to say, this company X is known for giving the guys lunch. So if you don't have food in the house, just go work there. They'll give you lunch. You need to have that. Someone talk about your company in a way. How do people describe you? How does the watchman at the door describe the company? They look at you like, umekuja kazi yuko. You know, it's like, why are you coming here? Like, just forget about it. You know, or the reception is like, oh my God, they're interviewing again. Oh, you're also here for that. You know, when you get that from the receptionist, you just think about, okay, why am I here in the first place? You need to have people speaking good things about your company. Be nice to everybody. Let everybody be nice to everybody. Let there be respect, integrity, and honesty from all aspects, not just myself as HR, but even the manager of sales, even the marketing manager, even have the person who is heading operations be the same way that you want everybody else to be. Let it come from the top down and not just a situation whereby HR is just sitting there and trying to figure everything out for themselves. If you want to change culture in that company, you got to figure things out completely and turn it around from top down. Otherwise, you will be sitting there and you will have people who are not motivated. You'll be carrying out performance appraisals and you're just thinking, okay, well, let's just fill them out for the sake of, you know, and that doesn't help anybody at the end of the day. Measure your candidate experience. How did I enjoy that interview? How did I enjoy that walk down memory lane and thinking about the company that I've been working for all this time? How did I respond to those questions and how did you communicate to me afterwards? Did you tell me the next steps of the interview? And did you do a follow-up? Did you get feedback from me and then change 1 or 2, 3 things? Sometimes we do get feedback and then we don't change anything. We get feedback and then we put those papers aside and we say, well, at least we tried. No, let's make a move. If you're going to do something, do it all the way as opposed to halfway through. I don't understand how we do halfway things. And we're the people who are managing that talent. That talent will follow from us and then they'll do their job halfway. And then we'll end up being told, okay, how did you hire this guy? It's because they copied it from me. They got that from me. So measure the candidate experience, get that feedback, change, improve, innovate, be better. Over to you, Andy.
Oh, wow. Noreen, I just love the energy that has come with that. You know, if you're going to do it to the very end. Don't just start and stop in the middle. If you're commit right through. And like we said, what is a good story without a lovely video? So let's just have a quick look on how Unilever does their thing when it comes to employees. Just let me know once the video has started streaming on your site. Can you see? It's not mixing. Okay, let me give me a minute. I know what the issue is. I need to share. Just give me a sec. You know, technology sometimes can give you a beating. I needed to share a different screen. So let me just share the other screen. Like I was saying, you know, what is a good story without a good video to just, go with it and show you how other people have actually put into action what it is that we are speaking about. Go with Unilever.
Wendy, we don't have voice.
What do you mean? Oh, I'm sorry. I understand that there is no sound. I don't know why. Can you hear now? Nothing?
Now you needed to have clicked on the activate sound when you are sharing the screen.
Josephine, please do that for me. You see why you understand why now it is important to be able to appreciate technology. This is me with a technology challenge. So Josephine, please activate the sound for me.
Stop sharing your screen now, Shema.
All right. So Josephine will share for us that video. I should have let her do it in the first instance.
You can hear the sound now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a sustainability advocate.
I'm an innovator with purpose.
I'm a self-esteem superhero.
I am a passionate activist.
I try to live sustainably every way I can. I launched Sustainability, a channel that inspires people to reduce waste. And I'm working with our competitors to improve our recycling processes.
I love food, and Mexico has an issue with nutritional inequality. So I created an app that donates a kilo of food for every kilo our users lose. Initiatives like Hellman's commitment to reducing food waste show that Unilever shares my purpose.
I used to struggle with self-esteem, and that's why mentoring young people is so important to me. And that's why it was a great honor to launch the first Dove Day in Kenya and to continue using my personal talent to make kids have better self-esteem.
I am a proud LGBT+ advocate, and being a part of the Unilever Future Leaders competition has given me the tools and confidence to champion LGBT+ initiatives through my work.
Now, if you did not find that beautiful and endearing, I'm not sure I understand your test very well. So employers have to actually make sure that they go out of their way to speak to employees in a manner that can be able to enable them to feel welcome, to feel valued, and to feel that the time they are putting in is actually time that will be of value to the employer and to themselves also as they are doing their services there. So of course there is another video, but short of time, I will not be able to play it from BAT. You also see how they're doing their thing. But when we share the slides, I'm sure you will be able to just have a look-see at that. So let me help you to spot that brand. You know, sometimes you wonder, how do I know about this brand? Visit these websites, Glassdoor, Indeed. You can actually see live feedback from people who have either worked there, interviewed there. You can even see nice things like the type of questions that this organization asks as an employer. Visit the company and websites and their social media pages, just like Carol has been saying, and like we have just done by visiting one of their work sites from Unilever. Ask within your networks for review, especially from former staff. Please talk to people who have worked in the organizations that you want to go to before you're able to go in there. At the interview, ask the right questions. You know, many a times we are trying to make ourselves very Google rehearsed when it comes to interviews, and you want to ask those you feel are so strategic in a certain direction. Ask a question like, is this position or is this being replaced? Would it be okay for me to know why the person that left this position left? Or ask a question like, how many times have you recruited this position in the last 5 years? You would actually know what the kind of employer you're looking for. You'll be able to tell that person who's bluffing and that person who's actually telling you the truth. When you're in the organization and you're new, especially, observe the offboarding process. When staff are leaving the organization, how are they treated? Are they treated with dignity and respect, or are they branded the traitors of the year? You know, there are some companies who believe when you leave that company, it's the worst thing that ever happened. Watch that. That will be able to actually tell you the kind of employer that you're working with. Assist the world also. Give a review. Go to Glassdoor, write something. Go to Indeed, write something so that somebody else that finds themselves in this position can be able to get some information that is valuable for them in their job search. Now that we have been able to identify these people, we know how to spot the brand, how to build it, how to stay sustained in it. What should we measure? There's two types of ROI that we're looking for. ROI is return on investment. I promise this is the only slide with jargon. So of course, you're going to look at the conversion-based ROI and ROI from expanding pipeline. This is for my HR colleagues in the area. Please make sure you're looking at your cost per hire, your applicant to hire ratio, your employee net promoter score, and your attrition rate. For all the people that I've just spoken Greek to, when you get your manuals, if you read through, you will get to understand exactly why we measure this kind of things. So ladies and gentlemen, I think it has been a thrilling conversation that we have had. And right now, I would just like to go to Josephine and ask what questions do we have? What kind of comments do we have before we put out our last poll? Over to you, Josephine.
Great presentations there. In all honesty, I do not see any question on the Q&A. And we had someone with their hand up, but it's now down. Violet, if you're still there, do you still want to ask your question? Violet Ryungu? You can unmute yourself. Okay. Okay, we have another hand up. Let me see. Edwin Kipketer, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Edwin, I have allowed you to unmute yourself. Edwin?
Justin, maybe you can unmute him.
Yeah, I already did ask to unmute.
Edwin,
Okay.
Edwin, your hand is up.
All right, we can let him then ask the question on the chat, and we will be able to address that either if we have time, but also on email. In the meantime, allow me to just share the last poll. We want to know how your experience with us during this webinar has been, and if you will be attending our future webinars, and even recommend to your friends and colleagues. Remember, we hold our monthly webinars every last week of the month. Keep tab of our social media pages, that is on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Instagram at Conversations with Wandy, where we constantly update quotes related to human resources, but also dates and topics for each of the month's webinar. Thank you for taking the time to respond to the poll. We are very proud to see that most of us strongly agree that they were impressed by this session and that they would also be attending and recommend future conversations with Wandy to their friends and colleagues. Let's get to good.
Awesome, Josephine. As guys are still picking up the poll, I see there's a question that has been given to us by an anonymous attendee, and there are 2 participants that have raised their hands. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've raised your hand, you will notice that you've been given a message that says ask to unmute. Please unmute so that you can be able to speak. There is somebody who has asked us, when you're in employment and your boss always brings employees and all you do is prepare documents, what can you do? How do you grow in this case? I want to just say very openly, and this answer will be quite hard to hear. Yes, when you sit with an employer continuously who is not growing you, you're doing the biggest disservice that you will ever do to your career journey. Please remember that your career development is your own responsibility and you own it, and you have to work with yourself and live with yourself with the choices that you have made in the development of your career journey. If you're in that situation where you feel that your job is not walking you towards the development direction that you wanted to go, it is time to consider leaving. It is time to consider a decided move to go to the next employer. That's why this particular conversation is very important for you. The next employer that you're looking for should be somebody that actually allows you to work, allows you to showcase your skills, and are able to explain to you the meaning of your job to the entire organization. So one question I can advise you to have during the next interview is, how does this role play into the achievement of your strategy? If they answer that question very well, you will be able to know whether they need you to push paper or they need you to actually work. But I think for that question, it's time that you start considering the next opportunity for your own career growth and development. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Nancy Matu. You're saying that this was a great and eye-opening session. We appreciate your feedback. And Obadiah Koril, are you ready to ask your question? Obadiah, go ahead. I don't know if our participants are having technological challenges today. Obadiah, you are actually unmuted.
As we are still waiting for.
Wendy, go ahead. We have 2 questions on the Q&A.
So I'll take it from Beatrice Koskei and an anonymous attendee. How do you deal with a situation where HR budget is always considered second to the rest? Beatrice, I'll answer you this because I look at this as you're sitting on a technology, on the strategy table. I like to say, as a HR practitioner, don't just be there saying, allow me a seat in the strategy table, allow me a seat as. Present yourself there and represent what you're looking for. Give these people the value that they are looking for. You see, the way today we have run away from old jargons and just spoken on downright practical work solutions. That's what you should bring to the table. Tell them this. If I train, for instance, the people in this particular area, this is exactly how it's going to affect your bottom line. Believe you me, that will not be secondary. If you're able to tell them, I'm going to reduce our recruitment budget by 75,000 shillings a month, therefore increasing our operational cost money by this, people are going to listen to you. So stop with the jargon, stop being overly academic, just go to the downright practical work solutions. They're gonna listen to you. An anonymous attendee has said, sometimes long service employees spread negativity about the brand and the new staff, either to discourage them or to reduce competition. How do you curb this? Again, today I'm also going to give a hard-hitting answer on that one. You need to ask yourself why that is happening. Have you thought about interacting with this so-called employee that is giving bad feedback and why you think they want to avoid competition? Bring them, sit them down. I've always said a good system, a strong functioning system should be able to withstand very harsh criticism. Bring them in, sit, listen, understand, appreciate, and then correct. Because 9 out of 10 in Swahili we say, where there is palipo na moshi kuna moto, or is it where there is smoke there is fire? You need to be able to suss out that smoke, yeah? Hear them out and make sure you turn off that fire before it turns into an inferno.
Great responses there. In the course of time, we want to end this conversation. Unfortunately, we are 3 minutes past, but I just wanted to share the results. We are very happy to see that 73% of you will agree and 27% of you do agree that this was very effective. And Nelly Indimuli, asante sana. You're saying kudos, well executed session. Wandi, Josephine, Kara, and Noreen, asante sana. So at this juncture, I want to call on Wandi to ask the panelists to give their shorting parts and as well as close the session. Remember, I have shared our email on the chats, info@conversationswithwandi.org. You can shoot your questions there and we are going to answer. We are going to respond within the shortest time period to help you deal with any challenges that you're experiencing either as an employer or as an employee in a bid to build a better employer brand. So Wendy, back to you. Kindly ask the panelists to give their parting shot and please close this session for us. Asante sana.
Alrighty then, Caroline, one thing you could tell our people out there so that they can remember how to brand. Unmute, Carol. Cleo, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
The one thing I would like to emphasize more than anything is communication, open communication. Be clear as an employer that these are the expectations that you have from your employees. And as an employee, be clear to your employer that in order for me to perform at an optimum level, at my most productive, this is what I need. This is the only way both of you are going to be able to move forward. That's it from me.
All right, that's actually a very beautiful part and short. And Noreen, when you're talking on disrupting talent and the employer branding, what is it that you're going to tell our people?
I'm going to end with this. Most of the time, the employer wants you to be a good fit for them. You got to think about yourself from now on. Are they a good fit for me? So let's not start thinking and saying, they want me so bad. Do I want them that bad as well? So that's what should be on your mind the next time you're putting down your application.
Wow, Noreen, wow, that's just all that I will say. Wow. For me, I would like to remind you that your career journey is your responsibility. You're the person that will own it. You're the person that is going to live with it. So do it a great service by associating yourself with brands that you actually will be very proud to even tell your grandchildren that I worked for this organization. I contributed in this space. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you for the 5 minutes that you've given us extra. It has been amazing. And again, I want to just say thank you. Follow us on our socials, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And we look forward to hosting you next time, same place, same time. Thank you to my host and have a very lovely day.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.